Hello guys and girls, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a sort of photo frame slash Apple icon in Photoshop CS6. First go up to File, New and make a new canvas. Call yours whatever you want, I'll be calling my photo frame. And once you've done that, go down to the width, change that to 1920 by 1080 and keep the resolution at the default 72 and have a transparent background. Once you have all that done, click OK. Now you will be presented with a blank canvas to work with. Right here I was just making a simple steel background. If you're wondering how to make one, go down to the description and there should be a link. Now once you have this, go into the layer and double click on it to bring up layer styles. Once you're here, click Saturn once and make sure the blending modes are multiply with black selected and change the opacity to 30%. Make sure the angle's 19 with the distance at 11 and the size at 14 and go down to the color overlay. Now once you're here, make sure the blending mode's on normal and go and change the color to 0096 FF. That should create a sort of darkish blue, and make sure the opacity is around 15. Once you've done that, go down to the gradient overlay. Now make sure the blending mode's on overlay, the reverse is ticked, and the style is radial. Once you've done that, go into the gradient and make sure that the furthest left is black and the furthest right is white, and click OK. Change the opacity to around 80, and once you've done all that, click the OK. Now that you have a background to work with, go and make a new layer. On this layer we're going to make the shape for the base of the photo frame slash Apple icon. So go into the Shapes tool area, click and hold to bring up the rounded rectangle tool, and change the radius to 150. Once you have all this done, actually first, change the fill to 9E, 9E, 9E. Quite repetitive. Now draw a simple shape while holding shift to make it perfectly square, roughly in the middle of the background. Now once you have that, double click on the layer to bring up layer styles. Now go into the gradient tool and make sure the style is on reflected and go into the gradients option menu. Now what we're going for, first, make sure the angle's on 0. Now go back into the gradient tool and make sure there are 2 blacks and 3 whites. So just make, okay, so make sure this one's black, change this one to white, keep that one as black, make this one as white. Now what this is going to do is sort of make a reflection on the steel you'll eventually see later on in the build or the creation. These colors are sort of intense and they don't really look like metal, so change these whites to a sort of light grey and change these blacks to a sort of darkish grey. And once you do all that, you can click the OK. Just one sec, taking a while. And if you don't really like those skinny effects, you can always move these around depending on what you want. And you can also just click on over here. And that will create a sort of, nah, don't like that. Delete that. Okay, once you have all this and once you're happy with it, click New to make a new uh, gradient option. You'll realize why you made that further in the creation. Once you have all this done, click the OK and click the, oh no, go down to drop shadow. Now make sure the blending mode's on multiply and keep it on, actually no, change it to normal. Make sure the color's black and the opacity is around 80. Now change the angle to 90, change the distance to 14, have the spread at 3, oops, and change the size to 21. And once you've done all that, click that OK. Now this looks pretty bog standard and pretty plain, so go ahead and duplicate that layer. Once you've done that, you might as well turn the effects off just temporarily, and go ahead and move this shape up just a fraction, just so you can see the bottom layer underneath. And once you've done that, go and double click on the layer to bring up layer styles. Now go ahead and make the, or go into the gradient, change it to linear style, blending mode at normal, and go into the gradient tool, and on the left color make sure it's sort of a lightish gray, so change it to BC, 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 and that should create a sort of light gray. And on the right side, double click on it to bring up the color option and change this one to C8, 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 and click OK, and click OK again. And once you have all that done, make sure it's on 90 degrees and go down to drop shadow. Now change this color to F3, F3, F3. Once you've done that, click OK. And make the distance 7, spread at 0, and the size at 7. Make sure the angle's on 90, the blending mode's on normal, and the opacity is around 80. And click OK. Now, once you have done that, go and duplicate that layer. First, make sure the effects are visible. Go and duplicate that layer and resize it down to however you want. I'll make mine around 87% smaller than, well, not 87% smaller. You can change these percentages more or less depending on if you want it bigger or smaller. Mine's around 87.25. You can adjust it however you want, but I'll keep it at that. And tick it. Now remember, you can always adjust these, so don't worry about it. Now double click on the layer to bring up layer styles and go down to, I'm sorry. Okay, go down to the gradient and make it reflected. There we go. Make sure the blending mode's normal and the opacity is 100, and go into the gradient. Now remember the gradient that we created earlier for the first layer? It should be at the bottom of the list, so just select that and it should show up on here. Make sure that you can keep both of these darker colors, but I like to delete one. It adds a sort of nice effect, which you'll see soon. Once you have that, click OK. Make sure the angle's 0, and once you have that, go up to the inner shadow. Make sure the color is white, the blending mode is normal, and the opacity at 80. Now what we're doing is sort of doing a light corner on the or the bezel of it. I think that's what it's called. and that will add a sort of realism look to it. Okay, change the distance to 9, the spread, oh not spread, the choke to 3, and the size to 5. And once you have done that, click OK. I'm saying that a lot, hope you guys don't mind. Okay, now you have made that layer. We've just got, I believe, 2 more left. So go and duplicate that layer once again. Now double click on it to bring up the layer. Ooh, first, change the color of this to 555 to 555. In total, 6 fives. And click OK. Go and double click on the layer to bring up layer styles. Turn off the gradient overlay and go into the inner shadow. Make sure the color is black. On a blending mode normal, change the distance to 3, the choke size to 0, and the size to 29, and change the opacity to 100%. Once you have that, click OK. Now go and change the size of this by clicking Command T or going to Edit and Free Transform once again. Now move this one just slightly down. You can adjust it whenever you want. I'll move mine around at 92% left and I'll tick it. Now once you have that, you are pretty much set. You can add more features or an image in there. I'll just add a sort of fabric texture which I have shown in my earlier videos, so you can feel free to check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. Hopefully there'll be a link at the end of this video as well. So click on the, well, hold down Command and click on the thumbnail of the layer that you just worked on to make a selection around it. Go to the bucket tool and make sure you're on the new layer and click the inside of, first, make sure the foreground color is black, and click on the inside of the selected area. Once you've done that, deselect by clicking Command D, go up to Filter, Noise, and Add Noise. Make sure the amount's 300, the distribution at uniform, and the monochromatic is ticked, and click OK. Now go into Filter again, go to Filter Gallery, go under the Sketch folder, and go to Water Paper. Make sure the fiber length is 50, 87, and 29, and click OK. Once you've done that, it should give you a fabric background. Now all you have to do to blend it in is to go and change it to overlay, and that should be it. You have a frame / Apple icon which has been created on Adobe Photoshop CS6. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to subscribe for more videos similar to this one. Leave a like, it's always appreciated, and leave a comment for something for me to do a tutorial on. And yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, and bye bye. Hey guys and girls, I forgot something. For the background, the steel background, make sure you invert it. So just hold down Command and press I to invert it, and it should make it look much better. If you're wondering, you can download this PSD. The link will be in the description below. Check it out, and yeah, bye.
From these lies back to yesterday, save tonight. I feel the sun creeping up like tick tock. I'm trying to keep you in my head, but if